Good afternoon, my fabulous students. I am so sorry that I cannot be with you this afternoon. We've had a family emergency that's going to make me be out of the office for the afternoon. But I wanted to be sure that I left you with clear instructions about what you need to do to soar today. So today we are looking at Odysseus's encounter with the Sirens, Scylla, and Charybdis. You should also be getting started on your constructed response, where you answer what qualifies Odysseus as an epic hero. Okay, um, so today's focus is going to be reading that passage of Odysseus with the Sirens, Scylla, and Charybdis, and also getting a start on your character analysis that is due tomorrow. So what I'm going to do in the rest of this video is take you through a shortened version of the lesson I had planned for us today. If you think it would benefit you to hear from me as we read and as we talk about this constructed response, watch this video. If you feel that you are able to read this episode on your own and get started on your constructed response on your own, you can stop the video now and check out these links on our daily page to guide your work for today. I'll be back tomorrow to answer questions that you might have. All right, so to get us started with today's reading, I want you to take a look at this painting. This painting is titled Ulysses and the Sirens. Now, Ulysses is the name that Odysseus is given in some translations of the Odyssey. So, Ulysses is Odysseus, same character, just a different translation. So, looking at this painting, I want you to think about what you notice. What are some things that maybe you already know about sirens or have read about sirens in previous stories seen in other films? What do you think might happen in today's reading by noticing some of these details? So, right away, I noticed that the focal point of this painting is this character here who is tied to the mast of the ship. And I noticed that he is surrounded by these bird like women. And then the men who are rowing seem to have their ears covered. This one's even using his hands to additionally cover his ears. So, all of those details are, in fact, part of today's story. All right. We're also going to be talking about how Odysseus reacts to challenges as we read today's episode. So, we're going to be thinking about how the way that Odysseus reacts to challenges develops themes in this epic poem. And in today's episode, Odysseus is stuck between a rock and a hard place when he has to sail between a dangerous monster, Scylla, and a violent whirlpool, Charybdis. So they are traveling through this kind of narrow strait, and Odysseus finds himself stuck between a rock and a hard place. All right. Remember to soar even when we're working asynchronously, guys. Thank you so much for being responsible and showing awesome attitudes by trying your best to get your work done so that we don't fall behind. Our target today is to use MLA citation to give credit to our sources and to cite evidence to support our analysis of a character. That's what you're going to be working to do. Remembering that today you're looking at Odyssey parts 3 and 4, the Sirens, Scylla, and Charybdis, and you have that character analysis due tomorrow. So, to help us get started with that character analysis, let's review the races strategy. When we say races, this is a format, a formula you can use to help make your writing stronger. I'm going to close my video for a moment so you can see this entire response. All right, so the RACES format stands for restate the question, answer the question, cite evidence, explain your reasoning, and then summarize your information. And you'll see here in this format, we have some possible sentence stems you can use to help you with that. Do keep in mind these sentence stems are a starting point. This is not the best writing for a high school honors class, but it'll help you to get started when you feel stuck. And you can always go back and revise later. So let's take a look at this student response and notice how races has helped the student answer stay focused and complete. The myth of Pangu is a story used to describe how the world came to be. Notice that restates the question because our question about Pangu asked how this myth explained an origin. Then the student gives their answer by describing how Pangu separated the sky from the earth and how his body turned into different aspects of the earth. Now we're citing evidence. For example, after Pangu's death, one eye became the sun and the other the moon. We've got our MLA citation. As a giant, Pangu's eyes would have been very large and bright, like the sun and the moon. Notice with me, this student has explained that evidence, and they have done more than just saying it in another way. Because when you say it in another way, that's not an explanation. An explanation adds to the evidence. It shows the student's own thinking about the evidence. And then we're going to end with a summarizing sentence. All of these examples are used to explain things people didn't understand and so wanted to explain with an origin story. This is an excellent response to that Pangu question we had last week, and it uses the races format. So now we're going to have a check for understanding. Okay, so our prompt for this character analysis says, what qualifies Odysseus as an epic hero? Use your knowledge of epic heroes, the text, and Odysseus's character to support your answer. So thinking about races, which of the following would be the best way to restate the prompt to begin your response? Think about that for a moment. So, our best way to start this response of these options would be the thumbs down because we restate the question when we say Odysseus is an epic hero because, and then give an answer that uses one of those characteristics of an epic hero. He demonstrates courage while trying to get his men home. Courage is a trait of an epic hero, so this is a great way to get started with this response. So now what we're going to do is read this next part of the story where Odysseus encounters the Sirens, Scylla, and Charybdis. Again, if you feel like you would prefer to read this on your own, feel free to stop the video now. I'm going to read the text to us, draw our attention to a few key moments in the rest of this video. All right, here we go. As Circe spoke, Dawn mounted her golden throne, and on the first rays Circe left me, taking her way like a great goddess up the island. I made straight for the ship, roused the men to get aboard, and cast off at the stern. They scrambled to their places by the rowlocks, and all in line dipped oars in the gray sea. But soon an offshore breeze blew to our liking, a canvas-bellying breeze, a lusty shipmate sent by the singing nymph with sunbright hair. So we made fast the braces and we rested, letting the wind and steersman work the ship. So we notice several of the traits of an epic hero in this passage. First, we already know Odysseus is on a long journey. We also see that he's helped by this supernatural power, Circe, who was an enchantress, a witch, right? And then we are also seeing his leadership abilities in this passage. We are seeing that he is very clearly the leader of his crew. So I want y'all to consider which of the following lines from that text I just read best shows that Odysseus is, in fact, a confident leader. Would it be lines 1 through 3? Or maybe lines 4, 5, and 6? Or perhaps lines 8, 9, and 10? Which of those best shows that Odysseus is a confident leader? Let's see if you were right. Oh, I didn't give an answer slide. Sorry. It is lines 4, 5, and 6. Let's talk about why that is. Odysseus rouses his men, and notice they get aboard, they scramble to their places, right? That word choice, scrambled, indicates that his men listen to him without hesitation. They don't stop and ask why they need to get up, they just do it. He is showing that he is a confident leader who is respected by his men with that word choice. All right, so now we're going to continue reading, but just know that once he gets his men to scramble to their places, he listens to Circe's advice and he plugs his men's ears with wax so they won't hear the siren song. We saw that in our painting in the opener, didn't we? All the men had their ears covered, but Odysseus was tied to the mast because remember, we already know Odysseus is really curious. So this time he indulges his curiosity, but in a safe way by having his men tie him to the mast so that he cannot be lured in by the sirens. So, because he listens to Circe's advice, they sail safely past the sirens, but they're not out of danger yet. Remember that curse that the Cyclops cast upon him? Yeah, we're going to see how that plays out. So we have here an artist illustration of the fierce monster Scylla overwhelming Odysseus and his men. So let's see how Odysseus handles these sea perils and defeat. But scarcely had that island faded in blue air than I saw white water with sounds of waves and tumult, a sound the men heard, and it terrified them. I walked up and down from bow to stern, trying to put heart into them, standing over every oarsman, saying gently, "Friends, have we never been in danger before? More fearsome is it now than when the Cyclops pinned us in his cave? What power he had! Did I not keep my nerve and use my wits to find a way out for us? Now I say this peril too shall be something that we remember. Heads up, lads!" So consider, how is Odysseus demonstrating his courage and leadership in this passage? Well, I notice that here in line 27, he is basically giving his crew a pep talk. They are sailing past something really dangerous, and he is walking along, encouraging them gently, right? He is not being mean. He's not calling them a bunch of whiny babies. Instead, he speaks to them and says, "Friends." And he encourages them by reminding them of all that they have overcome already on this journey. And he asks them to trust him to see them safely past this obstacle as well. That's showing his courage and his leadership, two characteristics of an epic hero. All right. So now, as we read this next part, look at how Charybdis, the first of these monsters,